Okay, so welcome. So today, what we're going to do is actually a Tableau project, and the project's going to be to estimate demand for a specific type of soda pop in Greece. So to get started, what you're going to need to do is open up Tableau and also the uh, download the CSV file. CSV, by the way, it's a it stands for comma separated values. So that's one format that's very common for data files to be in is actually just basically they separate the every single data column is separated by a comma. So that's how they it's called the CSV file. So in Tableau, when you open it up, you're going to need to connect to a file, and the type file here is actually going to be a text file. So let me just go and navigate assignments, and we're going to look actually for micro forecast demand. It's going to be this output one file. It might be actually, I might rename this something different. This is going to be the file that's actually in your Wolf Den. So you're going to need to download it, save it to your computer, and then open it. Now, once you open it, you should come to a pane that looks something like this. This gives you a little bit of a data preview. So the first thing you want to do every time, and actually, there, let me just show you one thing. After you open up this CSV file, click on the Use the Data Interpreter. This is kind of nice. The data, so Tableau has a data interpreter that does some kind of data cleaning for you, which is kind of nice. So just kind of utilize that by check boxing this, and it should clean up anything. I'm not sure exactly what was actually cleaned up, if anything, in this case, but sometimes it does actually do a good job at cleaning little odds and ends. So just go ahead and check that. And then what we want to do every time we look at a data set is first we just want to look at it and kind of understand what we're looking at here. So first things first, just take a look at this data set. So we have these different columns, and you have the different column, the names, ID, date, city, I'm guessing latitude, longitude, pop. I guess this is population, shop, brand, container. So you see brand is adult cola. Container, we have plastic, capacity, price, and quantity. Now the big things you should notice real quick: price and quantity. Those are the variables that we're specifically super interested in, and specifically price and quantity of what? Well, it looks like across the row, it looks like this is for shop 3. It looks like the price and quantity in this case of adult cola brand, 1.5 liter capacity plastic. So if you can imagine 1.5 liter plastic adult cola that was sold in shop 3 in Athens on a specific, it looks like these are by month. So it looks like in a month in 2013. Okay. So real frankly, what do we have here? We have shop store level data, store level monthly data on the, I guess this would be the average quantity, or let's say maybe the total quantity, and maybe average price for each of these different types of colas or soda pops. One thing that's kind of nice, if I look at, you can click on these. Excuse me. I wonder what this can tell me. Describe split. No, we're just gonna go. We'll leave it like that. So does that kind of make sense? The first thing is really understand what you're looking at. This is soda pop data for different cities and everything. Let's see. How do we actually go to the next? So now actually we want to start to analyze this data. And so let's go to click down here on the bottom. Let's go to a sheet. So we open up sheet 1, and this is where we're going to actually start to manipulate the data. Okay, so first off, what we can do is, well, first off, look at the different data types. You see, I've got brand, and it's showing. See this ABC. This shows that this is actually a word. It's called a string. Capacity is also a type of data as a word. Same with container. City is a geolocator. Date is a time variable. ID is a number. Month is a number. Shop is a string. And then down here we have latitude. That's a geolocator. Longitude, another geotype data. Population is a number. Price is a number. Quantity is a number. So in this case, we really are curious to look at. We're going to be really curious to look at the quantity. We'll just look. We'll try to actually estimate the quantity of soda pop that's going to be sold in these different markets. So let's think about this. This sheet, you see, it has columns. There's a row space, and we have columns and rows up here. So across the rows, let's go ahead and drag up quantity. What happens there? Okay, this is the sum. It's showing you the sum of all quantity. This is adding up all quantity in the data set. Well, that's not exactly what we want. How about, you know what? We actually want to look at this. Remember, we want to look at it by the container, right? So what would this show us? This shows us the total quantity of cans, glass, and plastic, like the total quantities in our, because we have a sum, you see. There's also this null. That null is kind of annoying. So that means that there's some data that has some missing. Null means some one of these is missing. So let's go ahead and exclude this. To exclude this null column, what we can do is actually go get what is this? This is container. So let's go put container and drag it up into the filters box. The filters box now, let's uncheck null. We don't want that anymore. And let's click OK. Oh, see you later. There we go. That's nice. Okay, so we want it by container. Remember, there's also brands, right? So brand, how's that? So this, what does this show you? This shows you the total quantity in this. So when we sum up all quantities, and this is by brand for cans, you can actually kind of see that in this case, this gives you an idea of kind of like market share, actually. It's kind of an interesting graph because we can see that the adult cola, actually Gazoza has the highest can. Gazoza is also highest glass. Gazoza is also the highest plastic. So Gazoza is obviously the market leader in terms of quantity, most popular drink sold. It kind of follows similar patterns, right? The least popular is Kinder Cola. It's also least in every category: cans, glass, plastic. Kind of similar story there. So, you know what? Actually, what I really want to look at now, these are just totals. Remember, we also had a time, so there's also date. So one thing we really want to look at is I'm kind of curious to see how do these different quantities, how do they vary over time? So think of we have quantity on our row, right? And I've thrown these container and brand on our columns to give us this graph. Think of if we want to plot this quantities over time, time would be then on this kind of column dimension space. So let's go ahead and grab date and swing this up here. Interesting. Date, and you see that it obviously said year. So actually, I don't want just year. If I go year, I can see 13, 14, 16, 17, 18. So you see when I have year up here, now I've got this is orange power can. So here's can of orange power, and it has it for each year. And I guess this is going to be the sum, the total quantities sold for each year. So you can kind of see in this way, this might be helpful for analyzing trends. One thing you can see is that Gazozo is like the most popular, but look, it's actually been declining in popularity. So that's kind of interesting to see these kind of big yearly trends. But I think we actually have more detailed dates besides just years. So we can change these measures. Let's go to year and let's go. So let's click on the little down arrow right here. And then look, how about we go month? Let's look at monthly. This is more interesting. So this is actually, now you see that there's actually quite, look at these. So this is orange power can, and this has got the monthly data. And look at how the variation goes. So this is over time. And look, you can see in the box that popped up there, November of 2012, there were 197,000 cans of orange power that were sold. 2012 November, and you see as I'm moving, you see these are the months, and you see that there's this sort of up. Where's this high peak? This high peak's in July of 2018. Where's another one? July of 2016, July of 2014. Oh, look, July of 15 was also a peak, but it was lower than the rest. That's kind of interesting. But you see these peaks are all in July. Why do you think this is? Well, what's the low points? Low points in February, January, February, low point again, February. February and January seem like low point kind of sales points. Why is that case? Why do we have low sales in February and high peak sales in July? Well, this is called seasonality. Okay, there's seasonality in this. So you see that there's seasonal fluctuations in terms of the demand for cola, and that makes a lot of sense. Probably get hot in the summertime, want to drink some cola, right? Um, so that's all pretty good. One thing we could do, if we want to make this a little bit more pretty, is instead of having all these different blue graphs, maybe we want to have a different color graph for each different brand. So let's go grab brand over here and actually drag it down into the color swatch. Ooh, look at that. Now all the gazozas are orange. All the orange power's green. Well, that kind of doesn't make sense, but you got it, right? Orange power's green. I think you can change these two to different your liking, but so that's kind of interesting. We can see these by brand. We see all these different types of cyclical behaviors. So now here's the question: look, where does this end? All these data sets end. What was this December of 18? So let's pretend now that we are sitting. We're the managers here of a distributing company, and we're trying to actually figure out what we think the demand for these different brands is going to be, say, through 2019. So we don't know, right? It's not here. So what do we need to do? We need to predict. We need to build a forecast model. Now, traditionally, that would be pretty, that's not a super easy task to do. But luckily, Tableau makes that task very easy. So actually, if we just go to analytics, and look, I can just double click forecast. Look at that. Look at that. I forecasted all the way through all of these different brands. I did a forecast for every single one through 2019 by just clicking a button. Isn't that cool? And look, it's taking into account the seasonal effects here. What we should be able to look at, let's go ahead and right click. So right click on your forecast model and go down to forecast. And let's go to forecast options. Here we can actually look at how far we want to forecast. Look, we can forecast. Let's forecast 2 years. Or 3. Well, it's not really doing much. So we can forecast out farther by simply clicking. Now, one thing we should be cautious of is that by going out farther, um, we're obviously there's more uncertainty about the future. I mean, there's big things that could happen, big, sort of economic events. Um, Typically, I think 1 year forecasting is pretty reasonable. The forecast model, so you can do it without seasonality. You can do a custom model. I just left it with automatic, and you can see with automatic, actually, it does adjust for the seasonal. The seasonal effects are these ups and downs. Look, if I take away seasonality, without seasonality, what's it going to do? The model just becomes, look at this. Look at this model. It becomes this straight line without seasonality. That's not a very good forecast, right? So let's go back and look at this. Forecast options. Let's do it with seasonality. Let's do automatic. That was much better. Now you see that it's actually accounting for this fact that we have this seasonal fluctuation, and that's great. That's exactly what we wanted. That looks pretty. Now let's just say that we wanted to only show, so let's say we only want to show this for one particular brand. How could we do that? Take a minute and think. We just did some different things. How can we show this for different brands? Well, hopefully, so first off, you go back to your data. So you have analytics and a data tab. So click on your data. And if you thought that we should filter, then you thought right. Let's filter, and we can look at just Gazoza for this period. Let's go look at this. There we go. Oh, and there's also a null. So let's take Gazoza brand. What is this? What is this null? This null is in the container category. So let's throw this filter here and get rid of null. There we go. There we go. And so in the light color, we have our forecast. And if you notice that there's this shaded area around the forecast line. So what that is the that's the 95% confidence interval. So what it's showing you is that we have a prediction, say here that in September of 2019 there'll be 306,000 cans of Gazoza sold. Now that's just a single number, but we have some sort of uncertainty about that number. It could be higher, it could be lower. All statistical models have uncertainty. So the shaded area is actually going to be this sort of this region. We believe that it's between in the shaded region. That's what we're thinking. We're thinking it's somewhere in between the shaded region, and our best guess is this exact number, 306. But we don't say that our forecast. We're not actually forecasting 306,000 to be 100% certainty because there's uncertainty about the future. So you understand that's why we have a shaded region, a forecast region, versus, and we have a specific point, but we do want to sort of shade the fact that we have uncertainty in this model. So that's it. That's your tutorial for forecasting, and I think it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple to do here with Tableau. And I hope that you have some time to play with Tableau and just kind of explore it. But what we're going to do is actually look to the look to Wolf Den for more detailed instructions about exactly what to do, and I'll figure out a way to get this a way to have like a turn it in so you can turn this assignment in, and that'll be it. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this little tutorial, and we will